Roppstar gang, what up? Welcome to the show. Another episode of the Roppstar Report, and we have a jam-packed show for you tonight. And of course, I have a special guest who really doesn't need an introduction because y'all probably already know him as soon as I bring him up. So let's get him up on the stage. And of course, you know his show, Unnecessary Bluntness, or of course, if you know him on X, you know him as Dunk. So let me pull him up here. Give me 1 second. I gotta having some technical difficulties, but here we go. Dunk, what up,
though?
man? How are you feeling? How we feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm over here laughing at Jerry Jones and Cowboys fans' misery. So it's been a pretty good evening for me. College football kicking off. I got a hate watch lined up for Matt Rule about 9 o'clock, man. I feel good.
Do you think Cincinnati's going to pull it off?
I don't know, man. I'm not even a big college football fan, man. I prefer the NFL. I prefer a more polished product. So I don't really know anything preseason wise about what they have. I've heard Nebraska should actually have a decent squad. So who knows? But it's Matt Rule. I don't really need a reason to, but to just show up and hate. So I'm here for their downfall.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Raiola is nice, and we'll see what happens with them. I mean, Nebraska's I feel like one of those teams every year. It's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. They talk about them, they hype them up, and then they just. It's the same thing that we hear from Falcons fans every year that they're this is their year. Like they're like the Dallas Cowboys fans in like the NFC South. Like this is their year, and it ends up just plummeting out of the blue.
Yeah, just gotta wait on it, man. They always crash and burn.
Right. It only takes 3 or 4, like that one game just to send them down in the downward spiral. It's like playing golf where you've parred, you bogeyed, and the next thing you know, you triple bogeyed a hole, and then it just goes downhill from there. So.
That's me. Well, actually, I don't get too many pars, so this is not my ministry right now. I haven't played golf actually. I haven't played it in a year. I haven't get out. I needed to get out, but it's been a while.
I hear you. Yeah, I haven't played in a little bit, but I practice at home all the time. So
yeah.
Got a little chipper, got a little putt green that I mess around with. So it's fun. Plus the little one loves to mess around with my with the putter and stuff. So she's just always up in it. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. We've been trying to do this for a while. We've been kind of talking back and forth, but of course, both of our fans have been kind of just like saying, Clay, you need to get Dunk on the show, and I've had multiple people in my chat say, Clay, you need to get Dunk. And of course, what's up, Doug, who's my boy? He's mentioned you a couple times. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Like I've been, and reached out, and it's worked out. So I'm glad you came on.
Shout out to Doug, man.
Yeah, Doug's trying to get everybody together. So let's just dive into something fun. Let's break the ice real quick here. Give me your thoughts on this Micah Parsons trade real quick. Who do you think won the trade? And who do you think won the trade?
I don't think there's any debate that the Packers won this trade. Like even the fact that you had to pay him the highest non-quarterback contract in NFL history. I mean, he only gave up 2 first-round picks to get Micah Parsons, a premier defender in the league, one of the best, arguably the best defender. Obviously, people are going to say Myles Garrett and whomever, but this guy is young. He's ascending still. He's not even close to his prime. He's had 12 sacks in every season that he's been here. The Packers, they make a huge step in the hierarchy of the NFC. Obviously, the Lions, you gotta keep them in the back of your mind, of course. But I think this clearly is a big step for them. It kind of takes a lot of pressure off of their offense because they have Jordan Love, they have a lot of young receivers, they have the running game with Jacobs, and they have a very creative play caller. So I think getting a piece like this is very out of the norm for the Packers. They usually are the true definition of draft and develop, but they make a big splash deal like this, man. It's 2 first-round picks and a starter. Come on, man. That's a layup. I would have did that if I'm the Panthers. I'm like, why didn't we do that? Just 1 starter and 2 first-round picks? Like, come on.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, to me, it's not even like anymore with like the Cowboys. Like, I'm just not even surprised anymore with this. Honestly, man. Like, I'm just not. Like, it's crazy to me that like you allow this guy go just so easily. Like I know it was messy for months, like months of this long contract talk war with Jerry Jones. But the way that Jerry Jones just like handles this is like a soap opera. Like it's just like a reality show. Like and that's the thing, like it seems like that's the way it is with Dallas, like every single offseason. Like he wants it to be about him, and it's not about, getting the Cowboys where they need to be. It's not about it's like Jerry Jones, me, and it's the same saga we see at each and every year. And it's like, they try to play it cool, and then you throw shade in the media, and it's just, and the deal never was going to get done in the first place at that point. So, I mean, the Packers upgraded their defense. Absolutely. I mean, they leveled it up for sure. And I think they have to be the favorite out of the North now. Now, out of the NFC, I mean, you still got some teams that you got to
the
go.
Eagles are loaded, bro.
Yeah.
The Eagles are loaded. It's like, it's not even fair.
Right. Like, and that's on both sides of the ball. That's on up front and up in the back. Like, I mean, they're like they're like a Bugatti right now. But but the thing is then like the Packers, they just flex this like big ass check to everyone else in the league, and you have to squint to look at it. You know what I mean? Like, and Jerry Jones looks like he's still like he's Jerry Jones. So, I mean, it's a dumpster fire of chaos over there in Dallas. And it just seems like it's like that every single off season because either something's not going Jerry Jones' way. I don't know. At this point, Jerry Jones to me needs to be put in a home, and he just needs to be eating Jello for the rest of his life. Like, we'll feed him Jello.
Did you see that Netflix series on them that they just released, the documentary?
I have not watched it. I want to. I've heard it's awesome.
It is. It's a Cowboys propaganda piece, and like the 90s is like, it was kind of, I mean, obviously I was born in the 90s, but I wasn't like in the weeds of how this stuff came together. And so seeing all that stuff and the behind the scenes and like just then talking, it's like, it gives you a lot of clarity on Jerry. Jerry, you're right. He wants that spotlight. He wants the team to be talked about. He does a press conference after every game himself as the owner. He has a radio spot every week as the owner. He's one of the big owners that really helped grow the league, but a lot of it had to do with the off the field, the narrative, making it like a reality show, making it like a soap opera. So it's like, even though the game may be over, all this drama like we see now continues to keep the NFL on the front line of it. So he was one of the pioneers of that. So I got to give him credit for that. But this is exactly what he wants. Like you said, he drags it out every year, whether it's Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and now Micah. I actually thought it was going to get done because I was like, man, he does this every year. Like, whatever, it'll be done by the season. But
it won't be surprise me, Dunk, if like Tre'von Diggs is next. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's next. Like, he's like they're ready to go. And I feel like I think a lot of multiple players on that team right now probably got to feel the same way. I mean, dealing with this, like, who wants to deal with that every single year? Sooner or later, you're not going to have a team. Like, or you're not going to have, nobody's going to want to play there until he's gone. But then you also got a first-year head coach now out without your star defensive player, which is just, it's just mind-blowing to me. It's mind-blowing. It's baffling, honestly. It's baffling. So, all right, let's get right into it. Enough of the NFL talk. Everybody comes to our show really, for Panthers. They could care less about anybody else. But that I love talking just ball in general. So
for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. We're going to talk about the shakeup a little bit. Not really much as the roster itself. We're going to be talking about really some things that have been on my mind, and me and Dunk kind of put some things together for tonight's show. We were talking behind the scenes about some stuff we wanted to discuss that we felt like the Panther Nation needed to kind of maybe get some answers about, right? Or maybe you had some questions about, right? And this is the first thing, because a lot of you guys on my show the other night, it was the other afternoon. It was around 4:00. I think that show was. A lot of people in the chat were talking about Bryce Young. Like, we just took away a safety blanket, right? But like, is Bryce going to benefit from this? Are we going to see, because this is the guy that really, I think, because even Adam Thielen today said in one of his videos I was watching, said that he gives all the credit to Bryce to get him to where Thielen was in those back-to-back seasons, right? Had 1,000 yards. And then, of course, I probably would have had 1,000 yards last year if he didn't get injured, right? So the thing is like now you have a test and the training wheels are off. This is year 3 for Bryce Young, like in my opinion, and I don't know how you feel as much, Dunk, but like in my opinion, I feel like the training wheels have to come off, right? This is year 3. Josh Allen, for example, in my mind, if you go look at Josh Allen's first 2 years, wasn't very good. He didn't break 4,000 yards. He barely broke, I think, 1 year 3,600, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go look. But then he goes and then breaks 4,000 yards in his 3rd year, right? So my question to you is, did Bryce still need Adam Thielen?
I don't think so. And the common denominator kind of with what you said with Josh and like other young quarterbacks going into that 3rd year, they get that bona fide weapon on the outside. And Adam Thielen, he's dependable, he's reliable, but he's on the inside. You can do some things from the inside, and when we see Cooper Kupp do it, we see other slot receivers do their thing inside. But having that major weapon on the outside is what really is going to help you make a difference. And that's why we brought in a guy like T-Mac in the draft. That's why we drafted a guy like Xavier Legette last year in the 1st round as well. So it was a matter of time when this was going to happen. We needed to get younger. It was to Bryce's benefit. And this is not something like Bryce was just like he couldn't throw to anybody but Thielen. Thielen was the lead guy, but Bryce is a guy that doesn't really discriminate. Everybody kind of eats with Bryce Young at quarterback. Obviously, the tight ends could get a little bit more love, but everybody tends to eat. You know what I'm saying? In this offense in terms with Bryce Young. And I think that's what kind of was holding him back with Deontay Johnson. They felt like they were forcing him so much to focus on Deontay when Bryce is more of a guy that likes to spread the ball around anyway. Right. And so I think after a year with Xavier Legette, a full all season with the rest of this crew in general as it stands, they have to prove what they've learned. I mean, he's obviously taught them something over that time. So I think being able to just put together what they've taught, what they've learned from him and put it into practice, and it opens up the door for other guys to step up, like Jalen Coker in particular. This was a guy that was a log jam at that slot receiver position and you know what I'm saying? So we needed an opportunity to get him on the field. And even from preseason, I talked about it in one of my videos. I was like, man, some people were saying he was on a bubble. I'm like, dude, we need to figure out how can we get this guy more targets. Right. And them getting Adam Thielen out of the way kind of allows for Jalen Coker. I know a lot of people are hesitant, but I think a lot of people are big on Coker as well. I just think 2 things can be true. I guess, you can be concerned because everybody's young, but at the same time, if you have faith in Jalen Coker, you should really sleep good at night knowing that he's going to be the guy stepping into Adam Thielen's spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think because like I see the one side, like what people are saying, because he was that reliable possession guy. He was the chain mover. He was a steady pair of hands that kind of kept everything going in that offense for Bryce and his development. And we got to give him credit for the 2 years that helped Bryce out in that, right? I think there's the flip side of it, though, is like you're relying on a veteran like Thielen, right, to act like a set of training wheels. And I use training wheels a lot, and because I don't have any other metaphor to really put, but it's like eventually the kid has to ride the bike by themselves, right? And so for me, if Bryce Young is ever going to be the guy, right, and I haven't put him in that franchise category guy yet because I just haven't seen enough. Do I want it? Like, I know this fan base is just so torn because you got one side, you got fans that love him. You got one side of fans that are just like, get this kid out of here. He's a bust, blah, 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 And so it's like, for me, it's just like, I've seen flashes. I've seen the potential. I've seen him step up in the pocket and make the throws, right? And even when pass rush is coming, right? I've seen him improvise with his legs and throw downfield, right? I've seen him, make the right reads, And so it's like you see these flashes, right? But if Bryce is ever going to be the guy, you can't just dump him off to a 35-year-old route technician forever. You just can't. Like, I think Thielen's departure will force him out of his comfort zone, and that's might exactly what he needs, because now you've got these 3 young studs, because I think they all look like studs in their own right, as in Tedero McMillan, Xavier Legette, and Jalen Coker, right? Now, I mean, I guess my next question to you, Dunk, is who is going to be that guy for Bryce Young that Thielen was in your mind?
I think in terms of just the clutch third down guy, it's going to be Jalen Coker. But in terms of just literally play in, play out, if that first preseason game gave us any indication, it's going to be T-Mac. I mean, they threw it deep to T-Mac. They threw it short to T-Mac. They threw it to him in the red zone. Bryce was literally looking for him almost every play, it felt like. And they're going to try. I mean, they spent a top 10 pick on this guy. They're going to try to see what he can do. They're going to push him out of his comfort zone to see what he can do. They didn't spend that draft capital on him for nothing, just for shits and giggles. You know what I'm saying? They're going to try to get something out of this guy. So I think T-Mac is going to be that go-to guy. And then, of course, when you think about third down, it's going to be Jalen Coker. And why is because, and I think the reason why Adam Thielen is because we know Bryce throws with a lot of anticipation. And with anticipation, you're throwing the spots on the field. When you're throwing the spots, you need to throw to a guy that you know is going to be in that spot because he runs consistent, sharp, clean routes. And that's what Thielen does. That's not really Xavier Legette's bag. T-Mac can be that type of guy, but he's still not a super, super crafty route technician. But Jalen Coker is one of those type of guys. He's smooth. He's reliable. Again, he's consistent. He changes up his tempo, but he runs with great speed there. He understands zones and understands coverages, knows how to change up, has dependable hands. And so I think that's why they'll mesh very, very well. We already saw that flash of that in preseason with the scramble drill. I think they've worked together this offseason. People haven't really been paying attention, but Bryce gave him a huge shout out in that Gruden interview that he had at the Super Bowl. Two, they worked out together. JT Sanders is on record talking about how him, Coker, and Bryce worked out in California together multiple occasions. And then now you see them scoring a touchdown. They got their own cool celebration. They look a little bit different than every other celebration he has with everybody else. I think they're a lot better friends and like cool than people realize. And so I think that's going to help their chemistry on the field as well. And so I'm just really expecting huge things from Jalen Coker. I'm excited about what he can do with more opportunities because the little opportunities he got last year, he really showed that he could be one of those guys. And so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm a huge Jadavion Sanders fan for sure. I love what he brings to the table from a vertical standpoint. I mean, like when you watched him at Texas, that was his bread and butter, was just being that verts guy. And he was a mid blocker, but he's really developed that over time. We've noticed that. I felt like from even just coming in here last year, like you could tell his blocking skills definitely developed. But like, I agree with you. Like Tedero, I hope that, like, I want Tedero McMillan to be the wide receiver one, right? Because of what we went out and got him for, right? I think the thing is with him, I don't want Bryce to force feed, right? That's the only thing that I just don't want to see is like be that just like constantly. Like he's going to be the first read for sure every play because they're going to probably throw him out there early, often draw coverages, create mismatches. That's what they brought him here to do, right? I think another thing is when you look at Xavier Legette, I think a lot of people bash him because he had so many drops. But as a Gamecock fan, man, like I know what he can do. I think that's another guy that people are sleeping on if you want to put him in the slot because South Carolina did that a lot. And that's how he had a lot of big plays in South Carolina where they just put him in the slot, did a little slant, and he's gone, right? And and he can do that, right? He's got a 4.3, 9.40. It makes sense. So, but I do agree Coker is the better slot player because I feel like Legette is that outside hammer who someone can stretch the defenses, open things up underneath. And then, I love the fact that Coker is going to be stepping into the slot because he stepped in nicely when Thielen was out. He's not the flashiest guy, but God, he runs such clean routes. He's very dependable. I mean, the hands, I think he's got elite hands. I mean, the guy doesn't drop a damn thing, it seems like. So it's like, most importantly, you've already seen him earn the trust in Bryce Young in live reps, like you were alluding to. So the trust could now translate into him being that new safety blanket. And I think a lot of people were just panicking to the fact that, okay, Thielen's gone. Now who's going to be that guy?
Yeah, people are saying, why don't we trade our best player, our best wide receiver? Well, I'm like, guys, after we spent a first-round pick on Xavier Legette last year and a top 10 pick on T-Mac, if this guy is our best player, best receiver, again, we have a problem. We're going to flop anyway. There's no way in God's green earth that Adam Thielen should be the primary weapon in our offense with all the stuff that we've allocated there. So at the end of the day, it seemed like they were phasing him out of the offense anyway, according to what the beat was saying. So It's not. It's fine for me. I think Bryce is going to be okay. I think we have enough young weapons. Yeah, the inexperience, there may be some growing pains, but I thought it was going to be growing pains anyway because we didn't play enough in preseason. But that's another topic. But so we
can talk about it because I could talk about that for a whole hour though.
And I don't want to hammer it because it's behind us, man, and it is what it is at this point. But I think it was going to be growing pains with this young group anyway. And so hopefully the ground game is what we use early on to rely on that as we continue to build out thing and kind of figure out what we are.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to harp too much more on this topic, but I do have one more question is, what are your expectations for Bryce Young? I mean, I've watched you for a while, and I haven't caught you really when you're talking about Bryce Young and your expectations, but I'm kind of curious because, and I'll give you some insight on mine real quick. Like my expectations for Bryce this year is just to be what we saw the last 12 weeks of what we saw last year. Right. Yeah. And literally just be a little bit more efficient. Let's not see some crazy footwork back there like you're doing the cha-cha slide. Like let's get yourself comfortable. Like, step into your throws. Like, let's not be trying to throw off of the back foot because we see what happens when that happens. But it's like, and you're standing on your tippy toes trying to make a throw, which we've seen that too many times. But he literally that last 12 weeks, I don't think I saw it once. So, but my expectations for him this year is to be around 3,800 yards, right? Somewhere around that, I think is feasible. I think around 24 plus, 25 plus touchdowns, thinking between 10 and 12 interceptions. And I think that if you have a year like that, that can put you into that franchise guy category because of what of a turnaround. And if that type of turnaround comes on, the NFC South could definitely be ours, right? It will depend, of course, on this worst defense in NFL history to make a turn. But give me your expectations.
Yeah, I mean, stat-wise, I can agree with what you're saying. I think those are actually fine numbers. If he achieves those, I would be head over heels happy. I just want to see the consistency, man. That's the main thing. Let's try to. I love the highs. I love when he's confident, when he's feeling it. He's on point, and obviously he showed against Kansas City that we can play with anybody, right? He can go toe to toe with some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL when he's on point. You know what I'm saying? I think he had the record for the most consecutive touchdown drives for any quarterback versus Andy Reid since he's been with the Chiefs, which is almost 12 years. So he did something that hadn't really. This something that hadn't been done. That's literally the definition of being able to go back and forth and toe to toe with the Chiefs because you were scoring touchdowns on a team that won the AFC, right? So I just want to see the consistency, right? And I think if we get consistent, Bryce, we'll be fine. And whatever numbers those turn out to be, it'll work itself out. I think we have enough ample young weapons that if he's consistent, we'll be okay. I think he has that type of game where he can elevate players, but he can't elevate garbage. So being able to put guys in the proper position to deliver the ball, distribute the ball to the weapons is what he's able to do. We finally got some younger guys and some speed and guys that can do something after the catch that I think will be able to help him out on the other end. I think he just got to hold up his end of the bargain and we'll be fine. And I want to see this offense be balanced and support him with the run game. And I think he's up for some big things, man. I really, really expecting the breakout year from Bryce. And I think that's exactly what we need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that 1-2 punch back there with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. I love it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys pound the like button, hit the subscribe button. That's all I ask that while you're here. Do the same thing over on Dunk's channel. His information is pinned at the top of the chat. So make sure you click that link. Goes right to his channel. Make sure you go drop some love over there. Okay. All right, let's move on. Love it. All right. We were talking about this behind the scenes. Is there a future here? So, Dunk, I mean, we were talking about it behind the scene. We know Hunter Renfrow's stint here has kind of been odd a little bit. You signed the former Pro Bowler. Obviously, he was kind of being that we were thinking maybe be that reliable safety blanket, right? Maybe be the successor for, Adam Thielen, right? And then they cut him during the roster trim downs, and you only watch the Adam Thielen trade suddenly, then reopen that exact role, and he was supposed to. We thought that maybe he was supposed to fill. I thought he would. I'm not sure where your head was at, but where does this leave him now?
It's a weird spot, right? Because like you have a guy that's 29, 30 years old.
Yep.
I guess he's from your neck of the woods, right?
He is. He was actually. So I went to Myrtle Beach High School. He went to Shakeup. I saw him play all through high school. So
yeah.
I know him very well. I've even met him before, and I've actually met his dad and his family. So they're very Christian people. I've actually met them at a church once.
Yeah, I mean, so he's a local Carolina guy, man. He's born here, went to Clemson, obviously spent all that time earlier in his career. He's at a later part of his career. But I think Dave Canales has some really honest feedback for him. If you heard the press conference, he said that he had some highs and some dips. And it not even being that training camp, you could kind of look at it and see. Obviously, cooking guys in one-on-ones, consistently saw him showing up in the highlights of the practice plays. And then after the injury, he kind of tapered off, man. And then he didn't really come back until the second preseason game. And then he got a couple catches, but nothing really crazy. He had a out route, and then he had a bubble screen that was a kill shot set up by Jack Plummer himself that he tried to take him out in the final Steelers game. Same thing. It was slant. It was high across the middle late. He kind of hit him, and Renfrow got up kind of slow. It looked like you could really see like he was really feeling it, man. When you haven't been hit in a while, man. Yeah, you lose all that weight, even though you tried to gain it back. It may not be in the same shape you were when you were playing a long time ago. So I think there's an adjustment period for him, and I don't know if we have the runway currently for him to make that roster originally. Why they didn't bring him on probably had something to do with the Thielen deal as well as numbers with special teams, but he didn't play any special teams. You're talking about him probably being wide receiver, 4, 5 maybe, and if you don't play special teams at that part of it, it's going to be hard for you to make a team. Now, of course, I didn't even listen to the Dan Morgan interview that happened on Kyle Bailey today, but everything we've heard sounds like the ball is in his court. We've offered stuff like that. I don't know if it's because of the lack of opportunity, because of what we have, that he's mulling it over, and he may be considering other places because apparently there's interest around the league for him, or if it's like, hey, I want to go somewhere else, or B, hey, my family stuff is over here. I may not have that many years left. Maybe I want to stay close to home and then work this thing out, see it through. But it seems like Dave and Dan are all for him coming back. I think he just may not be happy with his potential role here if he comes back here, because I do think Coker is that designated slot guy. Renfrow can definitely, anything he brings us will be a bonus. I don't think he's going to be heavily relied on. It's going to be anything he brings us is a bonus. And so I know a lot of people are up in arms about it, him getting cut. I understand it. But again, I think people just needed to roll back their expectations a little bit for a guy that's been out of the game for that long. He looked like, I not say that was like the only thing that was going to hold him back was being in game shape, and watching him out there trying to block, because playing that slot in our offense, you got to be able to play and block nickels, guys that are in the box at times with this run game. And so that's just not his bag right now, because he's still getting into it and he's still a little bit light in the pants. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to have him back. I want to have him back. I would love to have that depth. I think once he actually gets back and it clicks for him, he can be a factor for this offense. But I just think right away, and with that hamstring injury for a guy that was already 1 year removed from the game, it was a tough task for him to bounce back from that. And I just think it probably extended his recovery time being out with that hamstring to try to get back in for that quest to get back in the game shape. So I'm hoping that he comes back, but it seems like the ball is in his court.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a case for Renfrow to come back, and I think there's a case for him not to come back, right? I think that, like, with Renfrow's game, you look at his game, it's tailor-made for that slot role for sure. I mean, you got the short area quickness, he's got the strong hands, he's got great route running, right? You don't need him to torch defenses. You can't expect that from him. He's a chain mover. That's what he is, right? I think another thing is he's a vet. He brings that leadership, the experience, right? We've got, I mean, I think our average age, if we added it up, I think I saw some fun stat the other day. It's like, if you're exempting David Moore. I mean, we're at 23 years old on average, basically. So, that brings a lot of value into your locker room too, plus the local roots for sure. But then I also see the other side of it where it's like, okay, you already kept David Moore for his versatility because of the special teams value, which is what obviously, that was their big thing, at least for Dave Canales, was okay, if you don't bring any special teams value, you really aren't going to make this squad. You know what I mean? And so I think we saw that. I think another thing is that the Panthers or this front office may prefer, or obviously they definitely prefer, because we're going through the youth movement, but they're betting on these younger guys, right? They're going with the healthier legs instead of banking on someone who's trying to bounce back, right? And then I think another thing is I think they could bring him back to the practice squad for sure. Activating into the 53-man roster at this point, I just feel like is less likely. Because unless Jalen Coker just flops or another injury happens, I think Renfrow's best chance at this point is just maybe a practice squad vet call up. I mean, he even said he doesn't want to go anywhere else. He wants to be in Carolina. He wants to stay local. Again, the ball is in his court, and he's going to have to be the one that makes the call for sure.
Yeah, I think he wants to play, though. I think he wants to be on that active roster, like you said. And somebody, again, I haven't listened to the Morgan thing. They said that on Twitter, they said they got the vibe that Morgan was they're trying to bring him back to the 53, but it's really up to him. So it seems like it's more so about a playing time thing. I think he wants to play. I don't think he wants just to show up, practice squad, have fun, and just happy to be back in the game. I'm happy with my life. I'm happy to be alive. I think he wants to get on that field. I think he's a competitor, and I think he thinks he still can play. And I think he wants to play. So
yeah, it's tough to say, because it's like, well, if they brought him back, it's like, then who's gone? Who's off the roster? Like, who you cutting? Right? I mean, who you taking off? James Mitchell, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
like that's the only other, like the only person that would make sense is James Mitchell to me, because really you move him to the practice squad and you put Hunter Renfrow on the active, but that's the only one. I mean, unless you take Bryce and Tremaine, but I don't know. I mean, that's another one. Like, I like me some Bryson Tremaine now. I mean, like what he's bringing to the table. Like, I mean, he kind of reminds me of a little bit of a T-Mac.
He's got the measurables for sure, but he also plays all the special teams, which is what we need help in. I wasn't impressed with our special teams in preseason, and I think there is a concern for them.
I wasn't either. I wasn't
trying to figure it out. So I think they want all hands on deck for people that can do it. But somebody in the chat said that Morgan said today there's a spot on the 53 for him. So it's really up to him. It's about
right here.
He's going to make the team. It's about he's probably considering playing time, because is it, hey, do I want to stay close to home but be in the back of the depth chart? Or do I want to go to another team that's maybe traveling and I may not get all the PT that I would expect?
Yeah. I think that a lot of other people actually would probably just say this guy right here, what Rock Jones said. I think I don't know if there's more hate for that guy or Shy Tuttle. I'm not sure.
DJ Johnson for me, man.
Yeah, DJ Johnson. Okay, there's another one. I think that's enough.
Public enemy number one in my eyes, but
I don't blame you. I mean, I think public enemy number one for me is probably right now still. I think I would still say it's Nick Scott for me, but I get the DJ Johnson thing. He's probably public enemy number two for me. So, but yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about this safety position, because since we're already talking about Nick Scott, let's go ahead and let's talk about that. So, who should be the starting safety? This is an interesting subject, because I think this is one that I think a lot of people have, at least on my show, have been voicing their opinions on, because everybody's pounding the table for Lathan Ransom. And I don't blame him. I don't. I'm a big Lathan Ransom fan. I watched this tape. I mean, we're talking about a guy that is just raw, brings the juice, physical, downhill safety. I think he thrives near the line of scrimmage as well. Now, the coverage, when I watched him at Ohio State, it wasn't his strongest unit, right? It really wasn't. But when you let him roam and hunt the ball, he makes things happen. That's what you have to let him do. You just got to let him play freely, and he's going to make a play. He plays with a toughness, aggression. I mean, you saw him lighting dudes up in that Steelers game. And so, I mean, he's just got a knack of finding himself near the football, it seems like every single time. And that's why a lot of people in Ohio and Ohio State loved him. So, but Doug, we already know the one side. We already know that Tre'von Moehrig's going to be the guy, right? And I'm a huge Tre'von Moehrig fan. All right. I think that he's going to be what Jeremy Chin should have been, right? In my mind.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts here?
Yeah. So like the thing about Ransom, man, I wasn't huge on him coming out of school, but man, what he put on tape that final preseason game, he made a strong statement, and I think it made a lasting impression in the fans as well. They're like, hey, man, this guy might need to be the starter. One, Nick Scott, we were sold that he was just going to be a special teams guy. Next thing we know, he's a starter because of his communication. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I understand, because this is Moehrig's first year in the system, but Nick Scott is very experienced in the system. If you put a rookie out there with Tre'von Moehrig, both of your safeties are guys who's their first year in the system. We saw how many blown coverages we had last year because of miscommunication. So I actually understand the case for Nick Scott. But at the same time, Nick Scott is horrible. Let's just be for real. His tackling is not up to standard, bro. It's coverage-wise, okay, whatever. His tackling was just awful all year last year. So maybe the communication may be well, but if you're not performing, you could be in the right position, but if you don't make the play when you're in position, it doesn't matter. And his tackling time and time again was just not up to standard, right? And so the thing is, at that safety position, particularly, you're going to be playing free safety, which is typically the last line of defense. You need to be able to tackle, right? Yeah. But in terms of just Damani Richardson is a guy that I would thought was a dark horse. Obviously, undrafted free agent last year, played some games as well. Really is a hard hitter himself. He was typically had been a ball hawk. Last year, he had a great camp. He had a pick earlier in camp this year. Didn't really make too many splash plays down the stretch as we saw. And so he kind of was flying under the radar. I don't really know what kind of plays he made, but he has a knack for the ball. Now, when you talk about Ransom's game, I think it's a little similar to Moehrig. I think, like you said, you need to let him be close to the line of scrimmage, let him hunt a little bit. And I think that's the same way they're going to use Moehrig. So I'm a little bit concerned about how would you start both of them? What does that even look like, right? With both of those guys out there when they're not saying they're the same guy, but their skill sets are a tad redundant. Right. And so Ransom not being that good of a cover guy, like you mentioned, deep, you need somebody like that to play free. And so that's my only question mark with it. I love Ransom's game. I love the attitude. I love the hard hitting. The only knock on him is he's small, right? And so sometimes even though he brings the hit, he doesn't have a ton of stopping power all the time, which is whatever. He flies around, makes plays, and he'll miss a tackle or two every so often as well. But I love what I saw from the young guy. I think he made a strong statement to start him if they're going to do it that way. But I'm at the impression, man, I would not be shocked to see Nick Scott out there in week one. I think some people are just hoping that they kind of pull the chair on it. Canales is kind of vague about it today. I just don't see them changing things up for the reasons I said earlier about the experience in the system.
Yeah, I think Damani is definitely a developmental piece, in my opinion, but I could see why you want to put him out there besides Nick Scott because of what he shows, especially with instincts. I think his range is very underrated. I think he's got great range. I think his willingness to stick his nose in, but that's the thing. It's like he's still green, right? Like he's having him back up Moehrig, I think does make a little sense because if Moehrig misses time, you don't feel completely exposed with him being there, right? At least I don't, but I do see why you would want to put Damani over Nick and put him alongside of Moehrig instead of Ransom because it is a little bit redundant, right? I think the case here though for Ransom over Nick Scott is very simple. And, even though I kind of alluded to it earlier, it's just Ransom changes the game and just Scott doesn't. I mean, it's simple as that. Like, I think the reason why I would start Ransom over is to the fact that Scott is better suited to the role he's already built and that is a veteran depth special teams ace. That is what he is. This roster needs guys who they need those guys too, but we need a guy out there who gives energy, who brings the toughness, whose ability to wreck the run game, right? And that's the type of safety that Ransom is. He's a tone setter for this defense, even if he's not perfect. But I get where the redundance of what you're talking about, because Ransom and Moehrig bring the same skill set. So it's like, I get it. But we need somebody back there, I think, like a Damani Richardson who has that range to really be in the starting position than a guy like Lathan Ransom who brings the same skill set as Moehrig. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's he's not on the hot seat per se because it's the final year of his contract. But Ejiro, he probably wants to stick to what he wants to do and what he knows. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wants that experience. Yeah, we could do a youth movement on offense because the offensive staff has a lot more length on their leash. You know what I'm saying? So like, they can take those type of chances and take their lumps and grow. Ejiro may not be here next year, bro. So he's like trying to make sure we start out, start off on a good note. In the Saints game, 5th play of the season, we have a blown coverage because J.C. Horn and Jordan Fuller have a miscommunication. We have a deep post around over the top for a touchdown. The miscommunication started from the jump and it never ended all year. So he wants to make sure he has somebody experienced in the system back there again. Moehrig is still green in the system overall. So you need a guy like Scott potentially, and I understand why they would lean on him. Not my favorite guy, but I understand.
I heard that possibly that Corey Thornton could play safety. I heard a little bug in my ear. I don't know if that's true or not.
Interesting.
I heard there was a little bug that from I can't remember. I think I saw it on Twitter, but you can take Twitter for what it's worth, right?
He played nickel in that final game.
Yeah, he did. He looked, I mean, I think Thornton's one of those guys you can put really anywhere and he's going to be fine. Right. Like, but Shaw's the nickel guy, but I like having Corey Thornton on this team, obviously too, because he's backing up JC. That's a position that if JC knock on wood, but if JC goes down, I feel like Corey Thornton wouldn't leave us exposed. Right. Because I saw enough from him. I'm like, this guy, he can lock you down if he wants to, right? And so, but yeah, man, there is something I wanted to go over with you because I just saw it come across my feed over on X actually while you were discussing. I was looking at something, and this transaction just happened an hour ago. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not.
Oh, Shamar.
Yes, this right here from Carolina Blitz. I just reposted it, but what's your thoughts on this?
I like it. One, I like King coming out. Kalen King to skip down a little bit. Yeah. Two, I love DJ Dallas. I love that pickup for him on the practice squad. A guy that has some return ability. And he's been experienced with Canales in Seattle. And I was a big Jaden Crumity guy. We didn't see much of him at all last year because he got hurt. Pretty much was a red shirt. I thought he had one of the more underrated preseasons out of everybody on the team that nobody really talked about. And I think they knew they could get him back on practice squad if they let him go. And so they did it, and he brought him back. He cleared waivers today, and they signed him immediately. To remove Shamar Bartholomew, though, I think this is going to make a lot of fans happy. This is probably the next best thing for a lot of fans of getting rid of Nick Scott. But Shamar Bartholomew, he was picked up off waivers last year. He was active on the active roster all 17 games.
Right.
Ended up starting that final game against Atlanta. Did not have a great game. Was in the competition for a rotational spot in the preseason this year and got cut. And they brought him back to practice squad, so everybody was rolling their eyes. But now he's cut today. So this tells me this may be the door closing on a guy like Shamar Bartholomew. And we heard that, hey, instead of like hitting the waiver wire extra hard, they're going to use their practice squad to bring in some fresh players, not just picking up the same. I mean, we do have a lot of the guys we had in camp, but we also picked up a good amount of, especially DBs. We picked up Kalen King and the Mathis guy from Denver as well. That's on the active roster, actually, that has experience in the Vero system. They had a solid rookie year that could play nickel. So we're bringing in new blood with this practice squad just to get a look at some of these guys and then churning the roster, man. The Dan Morgan said it today. They asked him like, hey, is this roster probably getting close to your vision? He was just like, I'm never going to be satisfied with the roster. No matter how far we get, we're always going to be looking to get better. And so I think Kalen King is better than Shamar Bartholomew. We've seen enough from him, in my opinion. Tough. I'm sure his burner account, somebody found his burner account on Panthers Twitter. I'm sure there's some interesting comments there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I love the Jaden Crometti thing. I was actually pretty upset when I found out they let him go, because I just thought he was a guy. I felt like he could back up at some point. I think he could be a nice backup for Derek Brown, right? A piece. I think that, you're looking at a guy who's 6'5", like 310, 320. So, I think that he's a guy you want in your trenches. He played in the SEC. I think he out of Mississippi State. He's just raw. I think he's just one of those guys who has the size, he has the strength, he has the experience, right? It's just that he just needs some more time to develop. He's got to develop that big body for what fits his mold in this defense, right? And so but I'm glad we brought him back. Kalen King, I knew him from Penn State when I scouted him out. At one point he was probably viewed as a top NFL draft pick coming out of Penn State before, I think he ended up getting injured at Penn State. Is that the reason why his draft stock went down?
I think he just had a bad year. I think after his junior year or whatever year it was, I do remember, because like doing mock drafts during the year when we were trash, I remember he was going like fairly early in a lot of mock drafts.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like he fell off a cliff for some reason. I think, like I said, I think he had a rough final year as well. And so that kind of exposed some things about him. I'm not sure if he got injured. I can't remember, but I do remember he was a little bit, he was pretty well viewed early on, but he kind of fell off.
Great zone defender. Great zone. He's great in the zone. He's not a guy. I don't look at Kalen King as a guy who's going to lock you up, man press. I feel like he's a great zone guy, great zone threat. But again, this is the classic with him. I think it's a classic low risk, high reward signing. Like, if you can get a guy like King, who rediscovers his form, and then that you saw when he was being drafted in the early mock drafts, right? You may stumble on another hidden gem here, because it seems like, Dan Morgan just continues to find these hidden gems, which, I'm not opposed to that by any means. Obviously, DJ Jalis I'm all for it. I was all for it when I found out that they were targeting him and everything. And just because of his versatility as a runner, he great receiver out the backfield, great returner. Like, this is a guy who's a proven depth piece. He might end up stepping into this Panthers backfield, especially if hopefully no one suffers any injuries. But if does, I would, again, I don't feel like we would be exposed in the run game if we brought in this guy, right? So he's the exactly like plug and play type of insurance policy that you need, especially in the running back room. And then as for Shamar Bartholomew, the brutal reality for this kid is that one day you're a developmental project, and this happens in the NFL all the time. And then the next day you're on the outside looking in. It's just that simple. So it's unfortunate though. But Dunk, that's all I got for you tonight, man. I appreciate you coming on. My audience has been asking for you, and I'm just glad that we were able to put this all together. Tell
the people what they want.
Yeah, I know. I got to give them what they want, man. And hopefully we can do some more, collab some more down the road. But please tell people where they can find you if they don't know.
You can find me on X or Twitter. I call it Twitter still, at Dunk on Demand, DUNCONDEMAND. Obviously, you can find me on YouTube, is where I do my most damage, at youtube.com/@UB Sports Talk. Also, find me on the Bleacher Report app. I post daily content on the Bleacher Report app 4 days a week, one stream post game every game. Find me on the Bleacher Report. Just make sure you follow the Panthers. You're gonna see my face if you look on that Bleacher Report app. Please go support that. Run it up for me. I'm trying to do some big things and grow with them, but I can't show them that I have the support of Panthers Nation unless you guys support. So that's really what I'm trying to push now with Bleacher Report. So that's my big thing now that I want to plug. So make sure you guys download Bleacher Report, follow the Panthers on Bleacher Report as your favorite team, and then you'll see me on there.
I'll have to do that because I'll definitely go support you because I've been begging my fans to go support me because I've been representing the Panthers on Roundtable Sports.
Yeah.
And so I need people to go over there and support me as well. So, but yeah, I will definitely go over to the Bleacher Report and support you, my friend, for sure. So shout out to Dunk, everyone. Gotta give him some props, man. We gotta give him some props. But Dunk, appreciate you. Panthers Nation, we both appreciate you as always. Y'all know what to do. Roppstar gang, y'all know what to do. Keep pounding. We're out of here. Peace.